Well, folks, the housing market slowdown is getting much worse, much worse. Not better, worse. And today I'm going to prove it to you. We're seeing demand destruction on a scale that should absolutely terrify you if you follow the housing market. And it's not just buyers where we're seeing the demand destruction. Nope. It's sellers as well. What I'm going to show you today is nothing short of shocking. It's unbelievable, this data as it's coming in. I spent the entire morning analyzing the latest Redfin housing market data, and it's just insane. And I don't know that there's really any location that I found that demonstrates what I'm seeing more than Jacksonville, Florida. That's right, Jacksonville, Florida. So check this out. Pending sales in Jacksonville are now down 2% versus last year. So demand is crushed in an area like Jacksonville. People probably know that, right? You're probably like, oh yeah, Florida, people aren't buying homes. But it doesn't stop there. The demand destruction is just beginning in Jacksonville. Look at this. Homes are rotting on the market. And I mean rotting. 78 days right now to sell a home, to put a home in contract in Jacksonville, Florida. 78 days. 78 days. And that's up 11 days versus last year. So homes are taking 11 days longer right now to sell in Jacksonville versus last year. But look at this. Look at new listings in Jacksonville. Now, this is a market where everybody said, hey, the world's ending. Florida's crashing. You got a guy on YouTube, shout out John Brooks. He did a video with me in the past month or so, past couple months. And he lives down there. And I know he claims that basically that market is ruined. It's definitely ruined. He's right. Look at new listings, down 10% in Jacksonville, Florida. This is where we were supposed to see a lot of sellers re-enter the market, right? This spring. Where are the sellers? I'd like to know. Now, it gets more interesting than that. Look at active listings. Are you ready for this? I couldn't believe this. I had to run the numbers 5 times this morning because I didn't believe it. I was like, nah, this can't be right. This can't be right. Oh, it'd be right. Look at active listings. Sit down for this. I'm sitting down. I can't even talk. It's so insane. Down 21%. Active inventory of homes for sale in Jacksonville, Florida is down 21%. 21%. It's insane. I mean, there are 21% fewer homes on the market in Jacksonville, Florida, where everybody was supposed to be in distress, right? We were supposed to see all these sellers run back into the market after delisting their homes. Somebody forgot to tell the people to actually put their houses on the market, I guess, in Jacksonville, Florida. It gets more insane, though. Check this out. Check this out. Kaboom! Look at prices. Up. Prices are up in Jacksonville, Florida. $371,000, up 3% year over year, 3%. So prices haven't crashed. Fewer people buying homes, longer days on market, fewer new listings, and 21% fewer active listings. Somebody who knows John Brooks, maybe he could get on this live stream and explain to us what he's seen locally, because I'm looking for the seller distress. I'm looking for the mass wave of flood of foreclosures and FHA distress, Airbnb distress, mom and pop landlord distress, delusional institutional landlord distress, black swans, white swans, purple swans, whatever you want to call it. I'm looking for it. I'm trying to find it. I don't see it in Jacksonville. We're going to go to some other cities, though, and check them out. But before I get into it anymore, my name is Jason Ferrier. I am a realtor. I'm an investor in Central Ohio. I am the housing nerd. Thanks for joining me today on our weekly live stream. I've downloaded this Redfin data. I've analyzed it. I also want to look at your market where you live. So if you have a market you want me to analyze, drop it, drop the zip code, the city in the comments, and I will get to them on today's live stream. That's in the second part of the video. And we usually go maybe an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours analyzing your markets. But the first part is me giving you an overview of the housing market in general. So we're going to go to some other cities, but, I got to do my disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an accountant. I'm not an attorney. I'm not recommending you buy or sell anything. It's not advice on buying or selling investments today. I'm just giving you the data so you can make the right decision. I'm not a crash bro. I'm not a cheerleader either. I'm just giving you the right data. And I want to know from you, comment and tell me how many other YouTubers are out there giving you the real data instead of telling you that the world's ending. You better just sit on the sidelines another freaking year, right? Just stay on this, just sit on your hands. Just keep sitting on your hands. Don't do anything. How many are telling you that? A lot. How many are telling you what's really going on? I don't see that many, and I watch YouTube all the time. But the crash narrative gets clicks. Y'all click because you like crashes. We got some crashes today. I'm going to show them to you right now. All right, so demand is absolutely dead. There's no doubt about it. Let's look at some national stuff, and then I'm going to show you some other cities that are just crazy. So look at pending sales. Right now, pending sales down 1.2% year over year. That's national, not just a city, but nationally. Then, if you look at homes sitting on the market longer, you've got days on market. Let's see, what are we doing there? Median days on market. Homes are now sitting on the market about 53 days, and that's about 6 days longer than last year. So homes, a lot of them that don't go into contract quickly, are rotting for a long time. There's no doubt. That's national. In fact, 44 of the top 50 metros in the U.S. have days on market up, By the way, with pending sales, 27 of the top 50 markets in the U.S. have fewer buyers than last year. Fewer buyers. Now let's go to new listings and check this out. This is nationally for new listings. And I'm going to get back to some cities here in a minute. Look at new listings, up 1.7%. So we do have more people putting their house on the market. If you look at nationally, right, you've got 1.7% more new listings. Thank goodness this is spring. You should be seeing more new listings, right? But we know demand's down. We know new listings are up just a smidge, but watch active listings. This is the big warning sign. Why you're seeing, if you think about it, you're like, wow, it is much worse. The slowdown's much worse. Look at this line, down 1.7% nationally in active inventory. Folks, we have fewer homes on the market right now than we did this time last year. Fewer homes, not more, not a flood of inventory. Fewer number of homes on the market. It's crazy. It's crazy. So then we get to prices. Look at median sale price. Bonkers nuts. Kaboom, kaboom. $391,000. That's up 2%. 2%. Not down, up. Not down, up. So homes are more expensive now than they were this time last year nationally. nationally. Now, what about prices? Let me see. I did a price stat on here. So, yeah, let's get to some metros real quick. Let's do that. So we did I'm going to go back to Jacksonville here. I'm going to show you what's really happening. So you got that median sale price. We know that. We know pending sales, right, are down. We know active inventory is down. We know new listings are down in Jacksonville, not as much inventory. But now let me go to Tampa Bay. Remember, Florida's supposed to be crashing. I'm waiting for this crash. Look at new listings in Tampa Bay. This is insane. You can't make this up. Down 16%. The number of people putting their house on the market in Tampa Bay is down 16%. Wow. Wowee. What about pending sales? Down in Tampa Bay. Look at this. Down 10% in Tampa Bay. So demand is crushed. Demand for selling your home is crushed too. People are like, I don't even want to sell my home in Tampa Bay. What about active inventory? How's that doing in Tampa Bay? Oh my God. Look at that, down 10%. Fewer houses on the market in Tampa Bay. I'm looking for the distress flood of inventory. I can't find it. Can you? Let me know in the comments if you can find it. Tell me where there's a flood of inventory. If you can see that in your market, I'd like to know. I'd like to know. And I'm not talking about your theory on why you think supply will rocket upwards to the moon. I want to know where it's happening now. If you're seeing tons of supply hit your market, wherever you live, put it in the comments. If you know somebody where they're seeing inventory skyrocket, I want to know about that too. Have them get on the live stream and let's talk to them and find out what's happening. Let's look at median sale price now in Tampa Bay. That's up. Tampa Bay home price is up versus last year, about 2%, $376,000. No crash in Tampa Bay, no crash in Jacksonville. We know that. All right, now let's look at Houston. Going to Houston, Texas. Now, Houston is a mess, a complete mess. Complete and utter disaster. New listings in Houston, no surprise, like many other locations through the U.S., down 6%. Fewer people putting their houses on the market in Houston versus last year. Pending sales, how many people are buying homes? Not many. In Houston, down 14%. Demand destruction in Houston, Texas. Now, what's next? Let's look at active inventory. That's got to be up, right? Nope, that's down. Only down about 1% in Houston. But the point is, not more homes for sale than last year, fewer homes for sale than last year. And remember, this is the time of year when everybody's supposed to be running into the market to sell their house. This is the time of year when all these delisted properties are going to return to the market. The rage delistings, right? All these people are returning. They're just not returning so far in Florida and in Houston. Let's look at prices. How are they doing? Median sale price in Houston, down 2%. So Houston has falling prices, falling demand, falling inventory. It's just not good. Not good at all. Let's go to Seattle. Going all the way out to the great Pacific Northwest. I used to live out there. Beautiful area. Seattle, Washington. Let's do new listings in Seattle. Look at this. Completely different market, up 4%. New listings are up. They have more people putting their house on the market versus last year. Let's look at active inventory. Look at this, up 25% in Seattle. 25%. There's a lot more inventory in Seattle than there was this time last year. Let's look at pending sales. Wow. What's up with pending sales? Down 11% in Seattle. So you got, it's unreal. You've got a ton of inventory compared to last year. You got fewer people actually wanting to buy a home, and you have more new listings. Way completely different than what we're seeing in Florida and in Texas, right? Let's look at median sale price in Seattle. Median sale price up 1%. But they have a lot of inventory, but home prices are still up year over year. They're not down. I got one more city for you, and I'll get to your comments. I'll definitely get to your metros. But look at this one. Cbus, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, near where I live. Look at this. New listings up 1.5%. That's it. That's all. Not very impressive, right? Seen a little bit more activity on the new listing side. What about pending sales? This is up, folks. This is up 6.6% right now. Basically 7% in Cbus, Ohio. So the narrative that you've heard probably on YouTube from others, not me, but others, that the Midwest is changing, it's going to crash, we're doomed, the Midwest is next type attitude. Pending sales are up here as we enter spring, 7% more buyers trying to buy homes in Columbus, Ohio. Good news if you're a seller. Let's look at active inventory. How's that doing in Columbus? We're up just 1%, unfortunately, not a flood of inventory. Let's look at prices. This is going to blow your socks off. You ready for this? Up 4%. Home prices have not crashed in Columbus. We're up 4%. But make no mistake, the most of the U.S. is seeing basically flat prices. We're not seeing a massive rise. We're up 2% right nationally in prices, but inventory is suffering big time. There's just nothing to buy. And that's causing a massive problem when it comes to the slowdown of the housing market. Buyers are like, well, there's really nothing exciting out there to go purchase, so I might as well just sit on the sidelines right now, which is fine because there's not a lot out there. But if you were expecting some type of massive wave of inventory to like sweep the U.S. and crash the prices, you're still waiting. You are still waiting. And it's unreal that Jacksonville and Tampa, places that I would think we would have seen a massive flood of homes for sale, just haven't seen it. Let me know if that surprises you. It surprises me. Let me look at some comments. I'm fired up today, man. I can't believe some of this data. It's just crazy, crazy, crazy. Whoops. What's up, Jeffrey? How you doing? Yeah, I'll do that one. 43952. If you could put the city in there too for me, that would help. What's up, Ryan? What do you think will happen if we have a bad spring season due to higher mortgage rates? Oh, that's the other thing. Thanks, Ryan, for reminding me. Mortgage rates are up, right? What, 6.5% or so now? Approximately 6.5%. They're at 6.5%. They're up 6.5%. What do I think will happen? I think it's going to remain just like it is. I don't think anything's really going to happen this spring that's special. I don't think you're going to see a flood of homes for sale. I don't think you're going to see massive price declines, and I don't think you're going to see a lot of sales volume. I think it's going to remain frozen for the most part, and the higher rates are actually keeping prices high. I didn't come up with that theory. I'm just kind of stealing it from Melody Wright. She has that theory, and I actually agree with her on that. One of the few things I agree with her on the housing market. But lower rates bring more sellers out probably and could actually lower prices because you'll have price discovery. Higher interest rates will keep buyers on the sideline. It'll keep sellers on the sideline, and it's going to keep prices high. The proof is in the numbers. You don't have to believe me. Just look at the numbers. They say it's all great. Yeah, they say everything's fine, everything's great, or they say it's crashing, right? Because that's what they're kind of hoping for, is a crash, and they're not getting it. They're not getting it. Sellers will hold on to high prices too long, and you'll see properties sitting on the market all summer long. And that means double N. I'll call you double N. That means that they don't need to sell. That's what that means. And the reason why you're not seeing crashing prices is because you're not seeing inventory and you're not seeing forced selling. You're not seeing people have to sell their home. They may want to sell their home, but they're not like, I've got to sell it, pull the fire alarm, or I'm going to die. They're like, nah, it'll be fine. I don't have to sell. It's like I think it's probably the more frustrating part of the housing market for people right now is that sellers are like, I don't have to sell, so I'm not going to. Or if I do, I'm going to list it for a high price, and if nobody buys it, who cares? It doesn't cost them anything to leave it on the market. It doesn't charge them by day, like a rental or anything. So what does it matter? You're going to see more of that this year. I agree. Show me the desperate sellers and deep price cuts in Oklahoma City or Dallas. Let's look. We'll go find those. Momo gets money. We'll go find those, Momo. The good thing is I'm a 2-bedroom condo renting right now. I can wait a few years to buy here in 02360. Oh boy, that sounds like it's out east somewhere. Is that in Jersey or something? I think it is, right? That's rough. That market's destroyed. Like, you want to talk about a market that's wrecked for decades. That's wrecked. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with renting. Like, you don't have to buy a house. You got to really find out why you want to buy a house. You want to buy one just because somebody told you have to buy a house? I always encourage people to invest in real estate, but that doesn't mean you have to buy your primary residence. Nothing wrong with renting. There's no yard work, that's for sure. Renting is cheaper than buying, and my cash is collecting interest and gains from the most recent stock dip buys. Perfect. Perfect. This is exactly correct. Play the game. If you think inflation is coming down, you're dreaming. You're dreaming. They want higher inflation. Jerome Powell just came out and said that. He slipped. I don't know if you heard that part. Did you guys catch that with a Harvard interview? He actually admitted that their biggest problem, their biggest fear is not high inflation, it's low inflation. They've been struggling to try to get inflation higher. Until recently, until COVID hit, right? And that saved them. Before that, they were really struggling, trying to get inflation to go up. Now they're sitting pretty. Inflation higher for longer. Any of y'all tell me how inflation is falling? Where is that affordability that's returning to the housing market? Where's the affordability returning to the economy? I don't see it. That's because millions of dollars house are still selling. Well, no, because the median doesn't use an average. An average would take the $1 million house into account numbers-wise. But a median is sheer numbers from a volume standpoint. So you take the house that sells in the middle, right? That's the median. And in a minute, I'm going to use Zillow data, which takes out the top and the bottom and uses the typical home value that's in the middle. So it doesn't really have anything to do, unfortunately, with $1 million homes. And I've been hearing that excuse now, by the way, for like 3 or 4 years. One of the reasons why people probably think that is because there's nothing available that's inexpensive to buy. Hence why we haven't seen a price crash. No flood of inventory, no forced selling, no distress. There's obviously distress in certain markets, and there's 2.5% of the market is in distress from FHA, because FHA is only 12% of the total mortgage market, and the mortgage market is 40% of people don't have a mortgage. So that big FHA distress narrative is like a nothing burger. I was just watching Nick's video about how it will take 40, 50% of income to buy a home in Massachusetts. And he's right. Who can afford that? You're right. People can't. People can't afford that. People can't afford that. Yeah, Massachusetts, New York. I remember listening to Melody Wright a couple years ago saying how the Northeast was going to crash, how the demographics are taking over and there's a flood of inventory coming to the Northeast, to Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York. But the reality in the world I live in and the world you live in, Ryan, tells me there ain't nothing out there for sale. I don't think there's one county in New Jersey that has more inventory than 2019. When I looked a few weeks ago, there was only like 2 or 3 zip codes in New Jersey that had more inventory than 2019. Where's this flood of distress selling? Not in the Northeast. First like, good job. Oh, yeah, come on, freeloaders, give me a like. Give me a like. E.T. Blackbeard, what's up? Yeah, I'll do that one. Search 33019. We'll look at that, no problem. Inventory up. Hey, there are obviously markets where inventory's up. There's no doubt. Well, I'm sure we'll see them today. Yeah, let's look at everything. Rochester, New York. Eesh, that's a rough market, yeah. We'll look at that one. Hollywood, Florida, absolutely. Let's do that one. Corbin, Kentucky. Here's a different one to look at. What's up, Cecil? Thanks for joining. Can you look at how Colorado's spring market is? I saw it actually has some of the largest declines right now. Okay. Yeah, we'll look at that. Innovative Sustainable Solutions. Can you do Dallas, please? Yeah. Okay. I got some good ones to do. Now, I'm going to use Resi Club and Zillow and Realtor.com data, not Redfin data, because we can't go to a zip code level easily on the Redfin and Zillow data. It's windy out here. All right. Let's do it. Let's do it. So who's first? Who's first? What's up, Jeffrey? 43952. Now, tomorrow I'm going to do an Ohio live on my Ohio channel, Ohio Housing Nerd, if you want to check out that. Okay, so you're over on the eastern part of the state, huh? You just double check. 43952, yep. Let's do inventory first. Let's do inventory. All right, right now, Jeffrey, you've got 34 homes on the market, 34 houses. And apologize if the camera shakes at all because of the wind, but it's so nice out. Had to come outside, right? 34 homes on the market. That's as of the end of February. I don't have the March data in here, but it'll give you an idea that you've got lower inventory than you had if you go back to 2019. You had 52 houses on the market. And folks, if you're just joining us, give me a like and put your zip code and your city in the comments for me. 52. All right. Back in 2019. So you have fewer homes for sale. Let's move to about median days on market. How long is it taking to sell a home? 91 days. Look at that. That's up a lot. Last year it was 45 days, Jeffrey. So homes are sitting longer. Homes are definitely sitting longer in 43952. Now, let's look at prices. Prices are up 4.5% there year over year. 4.5%, man. Prices just keep going up in Ohio. It's brutal. It's brutal here. And there's no slowing down. Typical home value. Wow. 102,883. That's the typical value. And they take out all the top and they take out all the bottom stuff. The cheap and the most expensive. And they come up to $102,000 is what they say your typical value is on a house, on a single family house, by the way. And that's up. Is that an all-time high? Yes, this is an all-time high. Let me double check that. Yeah, that's an all-time high record price in 43952 Ohio. Nuts. Man, I'm seeing this over and over again in Ohio. I'm seeing it in a lot of areas of the US where we're still hitting record high prices. It's weird. It's like the market was like, I'm one of the people that I did when I first got into real estate, and I thought, well, if interest rates increase a lot, like why wouldn't prices come down? But it's completely counterintuitive, right? To think that prices will go up or stay the same if interest rates go up like they did, because people don't want to transact then. There's no motivation to transact. Show me the desperate sellers and deep price cuts in Oklahoma City or Dallas. Which one should we do? I know Dallas is hurting. And I just looked at Oklahoma. I just did a video where I looked at Oklahoma City. Let me, let's look at Dallas. And you don't have to give me a zip code. You can give me just a city. So we'll do that. Look at inventory. Let me look at inventory count. All right, so Dallas. They lump Fort Worth and Arlington in here too. 23,220 listings. That's a decade high level of inventory in Dallas. A decade high level. That, folks, will cause prices to fall. Because trust me, I'm not saying prices will never fall. I'm just saying they don't fall when there's no inventory. So we know there's a lot of inventory there. Let's look at median days on market. 57. Last year was 56. During COVID was 32. So now it's taking longer than basically tied, nearly tied for a decade high level of days on market. Means homes are just taking a lot longer to sell than usual. I mean, during COVID, it was 32. So homes were selling faster, much faster, right? Now they're not selling as fast. Let's look at, we should also probably look at pending sales. Let's look at pending. How's that doing? Yeah, pending's only up 1.3% in Dallas. So barely any more activity from a pending listing standpoint. Means demand seems like it's pretty crushed there. Let's look at prices. Yeah, look at prices. Down 4% in Dallas. Down 4%. So you got more homes for sale, lower demand overall, right? Homes are sitting longer, basically flat with pending sales. And now you've got prices down. I mean, look at prices back during 2022. Prices were up 24% year over year. 24%. I mean, that's nuts. And look at the graph. It's like, looks like an anomaly. Then it fell and fell fast because we had a lot of inventory hit in Dallas. A lot of new construction, right? Tons of new construction. And that will drive prices down. Let's look at the typical value in Dallas. How's that doing? Definitely not an all-time high. $364,700. Your all-time high was back in 2022, $392,892. And now you're $364. So you're off $30,000. I wonder if let's just look here. I wonder. Prices since 2022 are down 7%. So if you bought any time, basically, from the peak in 2022 to now, your home's probably worth less in Dallas. If you look at just the overall market, right? The metro area of Dallas. But prices are definitely not up there. And if I look since 2020, prices are up 37%. So if you bought a house in Dallas in 2020, you're still at a 37% gain in price. But if you bought in 2022, you're down 7%. So what does that mean? It means that in 2 years, they got all their appreciation in just 2 years. That's what that means. Basically, from 2020 to 2022 is when all the growth happened. Wow. A lot of areas of the U.S. are like that. People think prices went up for 5 years. In some areas they did. But a lot of areas, they went up just for, 2-3 years. But it was a lot. It was enough to cause massive problems in the market. All right, so that's Dallas. If I just maybe look at prices by area, you asked about Oklahoma City, right? Which is right here. Oklahoma City prices, I'll just cover prices there. They're basically flat, only up 1%. Really? Just up 1%. I'm just curious, though, how much are they since the 2022 peak? Yeah, so look at this, completely different. Dallas was down 7% since 2022. Oklahoma City up 7% since 2022. Different markets, different actions, right? Wow. Huh, that was cool. Thanks. Thanks for suggesting that. All right, Ryan, let's do that. 02360. 02360. This should be pretty interesting. 02360. In Massachusetts. Let me do inventory. You only have 119 homes on the market. During COVID, you had 47 houses on the market. Before COVID, you had 232 homes on the market. So you just have nothing, right? I think we've talked about this. You have no inventory, and that's crushing you. That's crushing you right now. Until you get more inventory, prices aren't going to do anything. I mean, they may go up, but they're not going to go down. Or if they do, it's not going to be a crash, right? 3% basically home price growth over the last year in that zip code. What's the typical home price there? 800, 700? $631,000. All-time record high in 02360, basically Boston, right? Oh, Plymouth. That's in Plymouth. My bad. Plymouth, Massachusetts. But yeah, you're at an all-time high price right now. Homes have never been more expensive. Let's go to since 2020. What has it done? You're up 58% in home prices since 2020. 58%. What about since 2022? Up 16%. Dallas down 7%. Oklahoma City up 7%. But Plymouth, Massachusetts up 16.5%, 17% since 2022. See, there are people, you got to be careful who you follow. No, I shouldn't say that. It doesn't really matter who you follow, right? It's just all entertainment. But you should be careful on who you believe when someone says home prices are falling. You know, what I've heard something on Adam Taggart where he said something like 50% of homes in the U.S. have lost value. I'm like, where are these 50% of homes? We're going to find them today, baby. But I mean, you go around the country and you look, and you just land on an area like Plymouth, Massachusetts, up 17% since 2022, not crashing. No inventory. Adam likes to say inventory's coming. I'm like, no, it's not. Where is it? It's not here at all. We're down year over year nationally in inventory. No one's talking about that. They don't dare talk about that. They're like, no, I don't want to talk about that. Nobody will watch my channel. E.T. Blackbeard, what's up? 14626. I guess the difference is when you actually buy investment properties, you're actually trying to help people buy and sell homes. You have to live in reality. That's why that's what I'm doing. I'm not trying to create a narrative. I don't really, I just want to follow the data because that's what I have to live on. 14626. And that's how I have to strategize. New York, Rochester, right? According to Melody Wright, Rochester's doomed. Lots of inventory, low prices coming. Let's find out. Oh my goodness. I mean, you only have 15 homes on the market. In 2020, you had 36. In 2019, you had 47. I mean, in COVID, you had 13. So you have 13 homes during COVID in Rochester, New York. And now you have 15. So the explosion of inventory exploded way past Rochester because there's nothing there for sale. Unbelievable. 14626. Wow. And if you've come on here a few times, I really appreciate it, by the way, the support and the interaction. Let me know what's going on in your real estate life. Like, are you like, hey, I'm going to buy, or I'm going to sell, or I'm just kind of watching, or I'm investing? We just like to know. I like to see what people are doing out there. What about since 2019? How's inventory? Down 68%. You've got 68% fewer homes on the market in Rochester, New York than you did in 2019. Yikes. Yikes. That is not good. That's not going to help your prices at all. Price is up 4% there year over year. You're probably at an all-time high price, right? Typical single-family value, $269,000, $270,000. Not an expensive market, right? When you think about it. But it's an all-time record high price, mainly because there's nothing to buy probably. And you got 15 homes on the market. What in the world? All right, that's Rochester. 33019 Florida. Let's find out. Yeah. What's happening in Florida? I love going around these different markets. This is like the best stuff. 33019. What's up with you? What's going on here? 3301. Did I do that right? This one's not coming up for some reason. Is that in, oh, it's in Broward County. Is that right? No. Oh, it's Hollywood, Florida. You said that. Yeah, it's not coming up for some reason. Let me look. That's not working either. Let's see. I wonder why it's not coming up. Oh, here's what I'll do. I'll try to trick it. There, I'll do 330. Yeah, it's right there. I got it. 33019, right? Hollywood, California. Hollywood, Florida, my bad. Active inventory count. Wow, look at this growth of inventory. I mean, it's shrinking now. We know that. Florida's definitely shrinking with inventory, but 726 houses on the market. Back during COVID, you had 288. So you've definitely grown your inventory since then. In 2019, you had 925. So you're still not back to that pre-COVID level of homes for sale, which is shocking, right? And now the inventory number's falling. You're down versus last year. You have fewer houses on the market than you did this time last year, right? Active inventory, let me just look at year over year. Yeah, you're down 13% in the number of homes for sale. Fewer people putting their house on the market. Let's look at new listings there. I don't always look at new listings because it would take forever to go through all these, but let me just look at new listings year over year. What? Okay, come on. Did you know I would find this when you suggested this zip code? 102 homes were listed in February. Last year, 128 homes were listed in February. So you've got fewer people deciding to put their house on the market this year versus last year. Not seasonality. People in my comments will say, oh, that's seasonality. You can't, just wait another month. And I'm like, no. We're comparing the same time periods each year. So there's no seasonality effect. It's February to February. It's March to March. 102. This market right now, folks, is ridiculously slow. Ridiculously slow. It may take years to climb out of this. Literally years. And if you don't have new construction where you live, like a lot of new construction, man, you may not see these things change for a long time. It could be decades. It could be. I mean, your new listings are horrible there in Hollywood, Florida. Horrible. What about median days on market? How long are homes sitting there? These numbers are fascinating. 97 days right now. Last year was 91. During COVID was 69 days. Probably a lot of expensive homes there, I imagine, sitting on the market, right? 97 days. So homes, it's completely counterintuitive to what most people believe in the market. Homes sit longer, prices must fall. Not necessarily. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that. Prices. What's up with prices there? Wow, look at this. Down 7%. Prices in Hollywood, Florida, down 7% year over year. And they've been down a lot over the last few, what is that? 10 months or so. I mean, it's been a bloodbath there in prices. I imagine there's a lot of expensive homes there that they can't sell. And then sellers are like, I'm not going to put them on the market. They sit a long time. Eventually, they got to cut the price to the bone. Maybe not to the bone, just, cut the price. Yeah, look at this. Since 2022, prices are down 10%. Since 2020, how have they done? Only up 30% since 2020. Whereas you had Massachusetts, prices were up 60% since 2020. Wow. All right, now let's look at single family value and see what's up. Single family value, $812,000. That's probably why you're seeing these price cuts. That's expensive, right? $812,000. All-time high peak was like here at 883, 884. So you're definitely off from that. What's that? $70,000, right? From the peak, off $70,000. Huh? Fascinating market. Yeah, fewer houses. I mean, if you had a lot more houses on the market there, like if you had inventory exploding, up 50% year over year, tons of distress in the market, the prices will probably be dropping a lot more. Like, forget like a few percentage points. They could be down 10% in 1 year or more. So sellers probably know that, and they're like, I'm not going to sell. Why? What's the point? I'll just hang on to it. And many of them are hanging on to it. That was crazy. What a crazy market. Did you say inventory? Well, okay, you said inventory's up. Well, inventory's down, right? At least according to the Realtor.com data. But maybe in your little micro market, maybe it is up. Yeah, Rochester, New York, we did that one. Hollywood, Florida, right? Okay, Kentucky, what's up with this one? 40701. And hey, by the way, if you join me, thanks a lot. Hit the like button. Hit the like button when you join the live stream. Why is this not working? This doesn't like me. There we go. All right, inventory in Kentucky. And you said this is where in Kentucky? Corbin, Kentucky. Cool. 70 homes on the market right now, or at the end of February, rather. And then in the next week or so, this will update for March data. But 70 homes on the market. During COVID, you had 30 houses. So you do have more homes, but you have less than last year. You're down year over year in inventory. Active inventory versus 2019 before COVID, right? You're still down 24%. So you haven't recovered from the COVID demise. Let's look at prices. Prices are up 0.8%, barely up at all. Well, just kind of like stagflation, right? We're seeing that in the housing market, stagflation. Typical home value, $174,000. It's not an all-time high. You hit that back in 2025. Kind of the June, summer time period in 2025, which, by the way, is normal. It's normal to have record high prices in the summer. And right now you're at 174,333. No, 133. And up a few percentage points. So it doesn't look like the market's crashing. You're still below inventory numbers from 2019. Let me just see how long homes are sitting. Median days on market, 108. That's a long time. Last year was 105, so they are sitting longer than that. Look at during COVID, 54 days. So homes are sitting twice as long. Basically, exactly twice as long than in 2022. And this is actually nearly a decade high. I mean, homes are sitting longer than nearly they have at all in the last 10 years in Corbin, Kentucky. I'm seeing that, and I'm sure you guys are too. Like, homes will enter the market. If sometimes if they're not priced right, even sometimes if they're priced right, but for whatever reason, buyers are not wanting to buy them, they just sit there. And then the seller will a lot of times just leave it on the market. And then maybe they reduce the price a little bit, but many times they just leave it. And then the days on market just tick up. I mean, I've seen homes sit on the market in my area and they don't change price. Like they've been on the market for 2 years and they're same price. That's how you know the seller's not desperate. You're like, oh, they haven't moved the price at all. They're probably not going to take a low offer. That was Corbin, Kentucky. Cool. What's next? Colorado Springs, right? Yeah, let's look at Colorado Springs. I saw it actually has some of the largest declines right now. All right, let's look. William White. Thanks for joining, William. Colorado Springs. Let's do Colorado Springs. Oh, that's Colonial Heights. That's not the same place. Colorado Springs. Active inventory count 2,764. You got more inventory, pal. Look at that. That inventory chart right here. This is like what you want to see if you want prices to fall. And I haven't looked at prices yet here, but I'm guessing they're coming down. I mean, look at this inventory trajectory. Can I zoom into this at all? I can't really. That's one thing about this interface that drives me nuts is I can't make this bigger for you. And this is Resi Club, by the way. Resi Club Terminal, they call it. And what they do is they load in Realtor.com data and Zillow data. And then we can kind of use it in this map. 2,764. Wow, you got a lot more homes for sale. Look in 2021. Look at the level of inventory you had then. 496 houses on the market. That's it. Now you've got 2,700 houses on the market. Let's look at prices. Down 2% year over year. Down 2%. But they've been falling now for a while. They've been falling for a while. Typical home value, what do we got? $459,000. $459,000. It's not an all-time high. You're just kind of grinding sideways with a downward, I guess. You're kind of grinding down, right? That's how I would say it, grinding downwards. You've got 2% decline over the last year or so every month, and that's whittled away your price. So you peaked at 491 back in June of 2022. That's when you peaked. And since then, you've kind of just kept going down. $491 and $459. So my Ohio math tells me like 30 grand. 30 grand on a $450,000 home? Okay. So prices look like they are coming down. I would say in your market, I don't know what you're doing, if you're buying or selling, investing, what. But my goodness, if you're looking at that type of inventory and it's sitting on the market, did we do days on market? No, we better do that. Days on market 54. Homes are actually selling a little faster than last year. Last year was 59 days. Now it's 54 days. But during COVID, it was 13 days. Homes were just moving. But now they're taking a lot longer to sell. So if you're in a market like this where days on market's up, inventory's up a lot, prices are declining, it's kind of the perfect recipe to probably find an opportunity at a deal, right? To go in and make what I would call a disrespectful offer. I'm not going to say you're going to get it, but it doesn't look like buyer demand is exploding there, and it doesn't look like sellers are in control at all in Colorado Springs. Colorado's nice, though. Colorado is nice. Beautiful out there. I'm jealous of their snowboarding, especially being in Ohio. I did Dallas, Innovative Solutions. I killed two birds with one stone. You and Momo wanted Dallas. All right, let me get to the comments, see what else I got. Did that one, inventory of Rochester. Do Dallas. And if you have a question, just tag me at Housing Nerd. That way I know what you guys aren't talking to yourselves. Oops. What do you think will happen first? Inventory up by 25%, mortgage rates under 6%, or GDP going negative? Inventory up by 25%, mortgage rates under 6%. Well, let's take them one at a time. Inventory up by 25% nationally? I mean, we're down right now. So the one thing that, okay, so the one stat in here that can be cooked, right? The government can manipulate the GDP numbers in a variety of ways. So I'm going to say GDP going negative won't happen first because they can fudge that number. You can't really fudge interest rates though, right? They are what they are, right? I mean, that's like a stat the government has nothing to do with. But they don't seem like they want to come down right now. So I don't think that's going to happen. I guess my thinking is it will probably be inventory up by 25%. I don't think that's very likely this year either, especially because we're down right now. But out of all those, I think it's probably inventory. That's unless there's some kind of manipulation on mortgage rates with, buying more mortgage-backed securities or something. You got to think that the administration right now is like frustrated, right? They're definitely frustrated because they've done everything they can do. I mean, they bought mortgage-backed securities, or they ordered Fannie Mae and Freddie to buy mortgage-backed securities. Now Fannie and Freddie are implementing some kind of crypto-backed mortgage. So I don't know. Can you get rates down under 6%? Probably not this year. I mean, they dipped below 6% briefly, but now they've exploded back up, and now they're in the 6.5%. GDP going negative. I'd say they can definitely do that. So, I'm going to say inventory. Thanks for the quiz. Oviedo, Florida. Is that how you say it? Oviedo, Florida. 3732765. Come on, Jay. 37265. 32765. Yeah. 327. All right, inventory. Well, we'll look at days on market. And this is in Oviedo, Florida. Let me just get my bearings here. Where in Florida is that? I don't know Florida very well. Oh, it's on the kind of headed towards the coast there, right? Headed towards the Atlantic coast. All right. 66 days on market. So it's taking, 9 days longer to sell a home? That's significant. That's significant. Back in February 2022, it was 33 days. So you've got double the amount of time that it's taken to sell a home compared to during COVID. We're seeing that a lot. That's kind of normal. Active inventory, look at this, 153 days. Last year, 133 days, 83 days the year before that. If you go to 2021, it was 38 days. Oh, 38 days. I keep saying days, my bad. 38 listings, my fault. 153 listings right now. Back in 2021, it was 38 listings. So inventory now is coming up to that historical level, like your normal level. Like look at 2019, you had 152 homes. Look at in 2018, you had 141. In 2017, you had 153, same as you have now. So it's kind of back to normal levels, which is good, right? You want that. You want it to kind of normalize. Active inventory versus 2019, we know that it's about flat, which means that you're headed at least in the right direction. What about prices? Prices down 2.5%. Prices are down 2.5%. And typical value, $492,000. Your all-time high was like, what is that? 504. What does this do? Oh, I don't want that. 504 approximately. Now you're at 492. So it's fallen a little over 10,000 bucks. Definitely not an all-time high. But doesn't look like it's crashing. But it does look like it's kind of normalizing. Maybe some of the froth is getting beat out of the system there. More homes for sale, taking longer to sell. What about new listings? How are those doing? New listings, 70 new listings in February, 62 the year before that, which is kind of normal. Actually, it's kind of low, actually, I guess, if I go back historically. So you're still not seeing that active seller like you thought, like I thought you would in Florida. And I fall for narratives too, folks. I fall for them as well. But all I've heard for the past, 5 years now is every year I keep hearing the same thing, which is a lot of distress is going to enter the market. Sellers are motivated. They're turning into distressed sellers. There are motivated sellers. Trust me. I'm out in the market every day. They're definitely motivated sellers. There are distressed too. There's distressed sellers, people who are being foreclosed on, people that lost their job, all kinds of distress there. But it's not like a contagion. It's more like spots of it here and there. And I thought in an area like Florida, you would see a lot more second home demise. But I'm not seeing it in the data today. So new listings, 70. Yeah, you just need more new listings. You need to see that number go up. You need to see active listings explode a lot higher and probably cause price to come down even more because you're already at that 2019 level of inventory. Okay. That is Oviedo, Florida. Hope I said that right. Probably didn't. It doesn't matter where you move or what you buy. The ripoff yearly home insurance cost will find you. Now, home insurance is expensive. It's expensive. But like, homes are a lot more expensive now. So if you're an insurance company, and I'm not trying to defend insurance companies, but if you think about it, it's kind of like everything's more expensive now. Right? I mean, everything. Rarely do you walk out of a store or go out to eat or buy anything and you're like, that was a deal. Every time you go out to eat now, you get like slapped in the face. Utility bills are more expensive. Gas is super more expensive now, right? I don't know. I don't see, and the tariffs were like discontinued or illegal, correct? So then if they were illegal, wouldn't those companies then lower their prices? No. The tariffs gave the United States government, the Federal Reserve, the president, all the leeway in the world to raise prices. And they did. Can you look at Overland Park? Sure. Yeah. Overland Park, home of the Chiefs. So that's supposed to be the loudest stadium in the NFL, right? I went there to see, it's not going to come up. Let me look. Overland Park. I went there to see the Chiefs and Raiders one time. Cool game. It's fun to go to a different stadium like that when you don't care about the team, right? You're just kind of there to observe. So I'm not a fan of either one. But it was a neat game. And I like Overland Park. I've been there many times. Let's see. So let me use 66204. Is that a zip code I should use? Or maybe you give me a zip code. Because Overland Park's not coming up. 66204. 66204. Kansas. It doesn't like Kansas for some reason. Okay, there we go. Oh, it worked. Good. All right, let's do active inventory for Kansas. And then let me scroll down to the comments because if I'm not doing the right zip code, crazy, let me know and I can change it. But for now, I'll just do this one. 66204 Overland Park, Kansas. 18 houses on the market right now. You only had 4 during COVID. That's not that many. Let me just look out and see if there's any. Okay, we'll do this one. How about 66208? 42 houses on the market. An active inventory since 2019, you're down 40%. Goodness, just fewer houses on the market since 2019. If I look at prices, where are they? 6.4% up year over year for 66208. Man, prices are going up there a lot. Like, they haven't fallen. You haven't been down in Overland Park, Kansas. You haven't been down year over year. You have to go all the way back to 2012 before you saw a decline in prices. March of 2012, that's the last time prices were down year over year. Month over month, they fall all the time in the winter. That doesn't count. But year over year, go all the way back to 2012. That's nuts. Prices have just continued to go up and up and up. Yeah, look at this now. All-time record high in Overland Park, $478,000, your typical value. What? And homes are expensive there. Goodness. Goodness. I don't know if you're still on, crazy. Maybe not. Man, I don't know. I didn't know houses that expensive out there. Let's just for S&Gs, let's look at median days on market. Median days on market, 33 days. Last year was 69 days. Homes are selling, like, they're going flying off the shelf compared to last year. I mean, they're selling half the time. They're selling in half the time. I don't know what's going on in that market in Kansas. I mean, but what's pending sales, I wonder? Pending sales are like where they were last year. So people, I guess, same amount of people buying homes there in Kansas, in Overland Park, but they're buying them a lot faster. 53 pending listings. Wow. All right, that's happening in Kansas. What's up, CG Rig 1? I appreciate you informing small-time investors. Thanks. Always pay attention to your channel. Cincinnati 275 area is a desert. No investor listings. What about auctions? But help the ins and outs. I don't know what you're saying there, but you're welcome. The Cincinnati 275 area. What is that? Talking about, is that a road or something? I'm not picking up what you're laying down there. No investor listings. What about auctions? Yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing any landlord distress locally here. There is some landlord distress inside of Columbus, like in the city, right inside. I'm seeing it there, but like outside of that, I thought I would see a lot more multifamily distress. And I always give Mike Zuber a hard time when he comes on my channel about that. Because I'm like, where's this distress, Mike, with multifamily? I mean, in fact, I know of a deal that was just done that I was part of where I was involved in a sale of a multifamily building that I own part of, and we sold it like the guy running the deal, like, sold it for a huge profit. Like, he did great. And it was a decent sized apartment complex. So like this multifamily, like, distress, I'm not seeing it here. I'm not seeing duplexes, triplexes, and quads under distress either. I'm going out making offers. I'm trying to find opportunities, and there ain't nothing out there to find. Landlords are like, nah, it's okay. I just won't sell. Can I create a show on auctions? I'm not that versed in them. I've only tried to. Have I ever bought a property at auction? I think once. I've had some clients buy them at auctions, but I'm not an auction person. I don't have a whole lot of experience in that. There's probably a YouTube channel out there like that. I'm a small-time flipper, 300K roll. Yeah, good. Are you still flipping? I haven't flipped something. It's been a year or so since I've flipped anything. I appreciate all your live streams. Always cash them when I can. I want to get bigger since my family has expanded, but it doesn't seem like the right time. Prices seem inflated, but they aren't decreasing. Right. They're not decreasing. Everything seems expensive, but it's not decreasing. Have you noticed that? Like, where's this? I was waiting for, I thought car prices would crash by now. They haven't. They haven't. Yep. And you're welcome. And thank you for coming on, E.T. Blackbeard. Rep Properties going through third-party sales and online auctions in Northeast Ohio. Rep, like repo property? Is that what you're trying to say? Yeah, there's a lot. There are auctions out there. Don't get me wrong. There are units in distress. There are homes in distress, but it's not like widespread. It's nothing like 2008 or 2006 or 2009, right? Nothing like that at all, because we don't have any forced selling. Sellers don't have to sell. The part that I think that everybody misses, maybe they don't miss it, they just, and I'm not saying this is you, Christine, but what I see from people in my comments and like other YouTubers who are wishing, wanting, and hoping for a crash and scratching their head, trying to figure out why it hasn't crashed yet, is that the loans in 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10 were like, they were giving crazy loans to anybody. It wasn't subprime. It was like the normal conventional borrower was getting an interest only, a negative AM loan, a stated loan, income stated loan, where you just tell you how much you make, you tell the bank how much you make, and they believe you. And so when all those crazy loans reset and those rates reset, that's when people were forced to sell. And then since they didn't put any money down, they didn't have any equity, so they had to sell. Or they just walked away and left it to foreclosure. We're not seeing that right now. We only have like, what's it, like 3% of the market is underwater right now? In 2009, it was like, what was it, 25% was underwater? Ooh. Algonquin, Illinois was thinking of selling, 60102. 60102. 60102. Algonquin, Illinois. Let's do it. Active inventory count. What do we got? 34 houses on the market right now, and you're selling. Well, I mean, I'm not a local agent there, but I can tell you that there's not a lot of inventory. It would seem like a seller's market based on the fact that there's nothing for sale. I mean, you only have 34 houses. During COVID, you had 17. So compared to 2019, you're down, what? You're down 73% since 2019 in inventory. 73%. Where is I give it 602? Yeah. Where is that? Oh, near Chicago, right? Wow. Wow. 73% fewer homes on the market. Now, if I look at this, look at the surrounding zip codes, it's all brown. Brown is down, means fewer homes versus 2019, and the entire area is like that. So it's not just your area, the entire area is like that. Just nothing for sale versus pre-COVID. Now, if I look at, let's look at median days on market. What do we got? 36 days. Yeah, homes are selling a little slower than last year. So it may take you a little longer than, somebody would have last year. But look at during COVID, 30 days. So the market hasn't changed that much from days on market. It's not like it's a lot slower. You're just kind of, it's a little slower probably, but not a ton. And let's look at prices. Prices, they're up 4%. 4% in Algonquin, Illinois. Now, typical value, all-time high, $411,000. and that's an all-time high. I would say, just based on what I've seen today, from your zip code, Statler, like, are you an attorney? Don't sue me. Is that you've got a market that's still controlled by sellers. It looks like fewer homes on the market based on historical averages, right? You're down 73%, which is insane in the number of homes versus COVID levels or pre-COVID. That's can't even think like that. 73% fewer homes. And then days on market hasn't exploded. Prices are still going up. I mean, unless you're greedy on the price, and maybe you can get greedy, I have no idea, but unless you're greedy and you set it to a correct price, I mean, if you do that, I think you'll be all right. By the way, I do have a free guide if you're out there wondering, hey, should I buy a home? It's not a seller's guide, it's a buyer's guide. But if you go to jasonferrier.com/free, you can get this free guide. Basically takes you through 5 questions that'll help you understand is it the right time to buy or not. Ryan, you had said something about buying, so check that out. No cost. And you can decide if it's the right time to pull the trigger or not. But good luck on your home sale, Statler. Good luck on your home sale. Oh, Christine, you were talking about REOs. Oh, real estate owned, like bank-owned properties. Yeah, I am starting to see more bank-owned properties. Yep. We will. Like, you had a period of time where foreclosures were banned. You couldn't foreclose on people. Well, when now that changes, and it has, and the floodgates are open, you're going to see distress come through the system. We will see more foreclosures this year than last year. We'll probably see more next year than this year. Is it a contagion, though? No. Not that I'm seeing. Raleigh, North Carolina. Yeah, let's do Raleigh. I looked at this a couple days as well. I was kind of checking out Raleigh. Raleigh, North Carolina. And if you're coming on live, do me a favor, hit the like button, share the video, share this live while we're in the live stream with somebody who wants to know about their housing market, and I'll help them out. I spelled this wrong. Raleigh, North Carolina. Raleigh, Durham. Let's do active inventory. Year over year, you're up 15% in the number of homes for sale. If I look since 2019, you are down 6%, so not that bad. Active inventory count, wow. 4,345 houses on the market in Raleigh, Durham. During COVID, look at this number. Folks, look at this number. 658 houses. That's all they had for sale in Raleigh in 2022, in February of 2022. 658 homes. Now, 4,345 homes. That is an explosion of inventory from COVID. Now, you're still under 2019 levels, but you're past the historical trends, right? Historically, you had 4,000 in 2017. In 2018, you had 4,000. Then you shot up to 4,600. But then COVID hit, and it fell, right? The number of homes completely crashed. Active inventory versus 2019. Okay, we already looked at that. Let me look at days on market. Median days on market, 60. Last year, 53. Homes are taking longer to sell. And during COVID, it was 16 days. So you have a lot more inventory than the previous years. Way more inventory than during COVID, obviously. Nearly a decade high. Homes are taking a little longer to sell. Prices, look at this, down 3%. If you want one metric to track in your market, just go back to 2019. Look at how many homes you had in your market. Now, look at how many homes you have now and compare those two. And that's like one metric you can look at to kind of see the direction of the housing market, where you are. Is it completely valid all the time if prices will fall, right? If you have more homes than 2019? No. There's anomalies, right? doesn't have to be that way, but that's generally a good guide. So like here, they're basically at pre-pandemic levels of inventory, and home prices are falling in Raleigh. They are falling. Typical single family value, 436 grand. Where's the peak? 447, 454. So you're off $20,000 basically. Not a crash, but down. No doubt it's down. I would say if you continue to see more homes hit the market, you can continue to see that inventory build, unless for some reason buying demand comes running back in, like if interest rates get, if they fall below 6%, which I don't see that happening anytime soon. But if they do fall below 6%, then, maybe demand comes back in at that point. But demand could even still probably, it could still move along where you are. But if you've got a lot of inventory, a lot of choices, there's a lot of competition for sellers, then the prices can still obviously come down, right? So not a crash, but I wouldn't expect prices to be rocketing up anytime soon. Probably grind sideways or down for a while. All right. Good. That was a good one to look at. Raleigh, Durham. I like looking at all these. Cash is king. Banks will deal after no sale at auction. You have to be ready. Yes. Agreed. Yeah. And, there are other loans you can get to close at an auction if you don't want to hold cash, but cash is not a bad thing to have ready. 275 loop down in Cincinnati, right? Hey, you're welcome. You are welcome, Statler. Hey, what's up, Lisa? If folks are looking for a cool house in Kingman, Arizona, you should hook up with Lisa, the AZ home seller. No crash bros. No. I mean, they've kind of gone away in a strange way, I think. And I don't know that, I mean, at one point he was a crash bro, but now he doesn't talk about the housing market. Travis, his channel Real Estate Mindset is all silver related now, and private equity or something, right? Private credit, and property taxes, but he doesn't talk about the housing market really at all anymore. He used to talk about it every week. I actually learned a lot from him, but he's kind of fallen off that. 54303. Hell yeah, America. All right. 54303. Let's do it. 54303. Where is that? Feels like Virginia. Nope. Is that right? 54303. This zip code does not want to come up. Where is that? There is no 54303. It's saying no good. Oh, there we go. Wisconsin. Wisconsin. Active inventory where in Wisconsin is it? Cool. Wow. You've got a lot more homes for sale, but my guess is that it's, you don't have, the numbers are small, right? Like the count's probably really small. Okay. 26 houses. Last year, though, you only had 11. So you do have more inventory. During COVID, you only had 4 homes on the market. That's not going to work, right? Let me do prices. 7%. Homes are up 7% year over year in Wisconsin. Man. 54303. Let me find out where that is. 54303. Where exactly? That is. Oh, it's Green Bay. Okay. Green Bay, Wisconsin. Cool. So in Green Bay, price is up nearly 7%. Typical value on a house, $238,850. That's an all-time record high. Homes have never been more expensive than they are right now in Green Bay, Wisconsin. You have 30% fewer homes than before COVID. We can see that. Inventory count's not there. You just don't have enough on the market. Median days on the market, 34 days. Last year was 42 days. Homes are selling faster in Green Bay, Wisconsin than last year. Not slower, faster. 8 days faster. What about new listings? How are those doing? 10 new listings last month. That's last year you had 10 new listings in February, so nothing special there. But home prices don't they don't look like they're going to crash, sorry. And they don't look like and unless you get an explosion of inventory, I don't see prices falling there. And they just kind of grinding sideways up 2%. Is that a ton? No, but it's not a crash. It's not down at least. Right? Okay. Thank you. The real estate market in my area of California was mainly unchanged from February of last year. The elephant in the room is Iran. It will be interesting to see the numbers for March and April. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, do people make that decision? Coors Light, by the way, good to see you. I don't know if they do or not make that decision based on Iran, right? If it's a reason to stay out of the market. Some people do, maybe. There's just uncertainty, right? Just uncertainty. I believe if Iran doesn't go past May, the numbers shouldn't be. Then the number shouldn't be. I don't know what that means. But it is amazing, though, that like one tweet saying that we're going to end the war soon, within weeks, sent the market skyrocketing for 2 days, right? It was up like what? Well, I don't know. It was up 2.5. The NASDAQ was up like 2.5 one day and like a 1.5 the next day or something like that. It was just like, whoo, right up. You can't tell me somebody doesn't take advantage of that and get rich from it. Somebody who's sitting next to him or something going, hey, what are you tweeting over there? Oh, let me buy something. I'm guessing that happens. It would shock me if it wasn't happening. Yeah, Green Bay. Cool. Ooh, here's an interesting one. Earring, what's up? 07853. 07853. New Jersey. Here we go. Man. Active inventory in 07853. Let me just look at the 07853. Where is that? I know it's New Jersey, but Long Valley, New Jersey, in Morris County. You've got 30% fewer homes than last year on the market. This is called demand destruction. When I say demand destruction, I'm not talking about buyers running out of the market in New Jersey. I'm talking about sellers going, you know what? There's not a demand for me to sell my home, meaning from the seller's standpoint. There's no incentive. There's no mechanism. There's no reason to sell. So they're not. 11 houses on the market. Now, normally I would say, well, that's a market that doesn't have any inventory ever. Wrong. Look at 2020. They had 65 houses on the market. Look at 2019. They had 83 houses on the market. You haven't recovered at all from COVID. 11 houses for sale. Man, that's completely shocking. Let's look at prices. How are they? Prices up only 1.6%. So they're not screaming upwards, at least. They're not going down. $700,000 is the typical home value in Morris County, Long Valley, New Jersey. 07853. $700,000. That's an all-time record high home price. Now, if you are selling, you're probably in control. Like you can probably, like, I don't know if you can charge anything you want. I'm not saying that, but if you price it reasonably at all, you should be okay to sell and get offers and, you know, not have to take a lowball offer. If you're buying, I don't know what you do. I mean, you have to look off market, right? You got to look everywhere, underneath rocks, around trees, whatever you got to look, wherever you got to look to find a house. That's what you have to do. Probably have to find something old, unless you got a ton of cash. Find something old that you can fix up. Maybe that's an option. You could buy a duplex and house hack one side, live in the other. That may be a way to do it. But my goodness, there is nothing there for sale. And if I zoom out, right, if I kind of zoom out in that area and look at inventory versus 2019, look at this. Look at the state of New Jersey, folks. Look at the state of New Jersey. And these are by zip codes. Brown is down. That means that if you see brown, they have, that zip code has fewer homes for sale versus 2019. So there's one zip code here, 07851 has more homes for sale. And there's a couple like right through here, right? But beyond that, it's brown. Everything's brown. Just nothing for sale in New Jersey. And what about prices? Where are they? Yeah, prices are up. In most of the state. Green, kind of like a tingy yellow. That's still up, just not up a ton. But there are blue, I'm not green. Blue is up and yellow is kind of up. Look at this, 07039, wherever that is in New Jersey, up 6%. 08701, up 8%. 08043, up 9% in prices. New Jersey's wrecked with the market. It could be decades before anything happens there like for affordability to return. Could be decades. Bah. Man, it's got to be tough there, man. I believe if Iran doesn't go past May, then the Crash Bros shouldn't have too much to talk about. Ah. Right. Right. I mean, but again, we don't have a mechanism for selling yet. There has to be some event, has to be some trigger to cause people to to put their house on the market and say, I got to sell this. I'm doomed if I don't sell. So far, we haven't seen that. And that's the missing ingredient out of all this, I think. And what could that be? It could be massive job loss. Like if there was complete unemployment throughout the U.S., then you would see more forced selling. But higher interest rates haven't done it. Tariffs haven't done it. It has to be a mechanism. I don't know what it would be. The 10-year will get ahead of the market. I mean, right now, the 10 years, stubborn. Stubborn. There have been a lot of delistings as well, like the rage delisting thing going on. Prices kind of tapped out, and I see a lot of families, 4+ moving into apartments, so I don't know what's happening. And where did you look? Oh, you were in Green Bay. Yeah, I mean, so that whole rage delisting thing, it's like, I think it's a fun social media YouTuber thing. I think it's a fun Crash Bro thing, but I think it's more like rage buyers or rage sideline buyers or rage Crash Bros, where they're like, I'm upset because these sellers don't need to sell. So they're going to take their house off the market. They may put it back on later. That doesn't mean that they're desperate. It just means they're trying again. But if they don't get the price, they'll just leave it, just, oh, well, I'll just try again some other time or not. Eventually, the people that need to sell will populate into the market, right? You'll see them and you'll know because they keep dropping the price and they leave it on. They don't take it off the market. If you need to sell your home, you're not going to delist it. But it's a fun narrative. Like it's a fun narrative to do interviews on YouTube with, right? Like, hey, rage quitting, rage delisting. Okay, well, in Jacksonville, where John Brooks is, doesn't look like there's people returning back to the market. It's nuts. I'm definitely not looking at houses in Iran if it goes past May. Are you were going to buy in Iran? Is that what you're trying to say? I don't recommend looking at homes in Iran. I don't know. I've never been there. 90815. Cool little avatar there. 90815. By the way, if you're joining us, drop your zip code in. I'll get to it. 90. What did I say? 85. Put your city too if you can. We're going to California, I think. Yep. Where are we here? Oh, you're in the OC. No, north of the OC. I want to know what that is. 90185. Right. Oh, you're in Long Beach. LBC. Sounds good to me. I used to go to Seal Beach a lot. I used to live out in California. There's a couple little bars I used to go to, restaurants in Seal Beach. I don't know why. I just kind of started going there. It's kind of near you. 90815. Let's find out what's happening in Long Beach, California. Well, let's do inventory first. Because I hear a lot from folks that California's crashing, right? Prices are crashing hard. Way too much inventory. Sellers are desperate. 36 active homes on the market in that zip code. It's not a lot. You'd think you'd see more in a market like that. Only 36 houses. During COVID, you only had 12. In 2019, you had 60. So you still have far fewer homes on the market versus pre-COVID. That's kind of that line in the sand, right? Let's look at median days on market. 38 days. Last year was 36. Homes selling a little slower. But 38 days, that's not that bad. That's like normal, right? About a month, a little over a month to put a house in contract. I think that's what it should be normally. Homes going into contract within 2 days, that's not normal. I'm glad we're not doing that anymore. Price is up 1.8% there. Not down, they're up. Single family home value is $1,047,000. That is an all-time high. So that's an all-time record high in Long Beach, California. Homes have never been more expensive than they are right now. Wow. $1,047,000. It's a record price. And this is the value from Zillow between the 35th and 65th percentile. It takes out everything high, which is insane when you're looking at $1 million home, right? So that doesn't count the expensive homes. And then all the cheap homes. Are there cheap homes out there? Probably not. But that's how they do it. They take that middle band, which I think is good, right? They're taking out all the high stuff, all the low stuff. Just a different way than doing like median. Redfin does median, which uses the house that sells in the middle, not average, but if there are 100 houses that sell, it's basically house number 50 that sells. That's how Redfin does it. But Zillow does 35th to 65th percentile. $1,047,000. Unbelievable. Prices just keep going up there. I don't see, unless something happens with inventory where you are, I don't think you're going to see a decline, at least not a meaningful decline. But what's the mechanism to get more inventory? Ask yourself that wherever you live. New houses? Are they building a lot of homes where you are? If that's the case, and homes people can actually buy, right? Not like insanely priced homes, then, that could definitely reduce your prices. Look at Dallas. All that new construction in Dallas and Austin. I get ads all the time from Lennar in Texas and Arkansas and Alabama and Florida with like homes that are under like $250,000. Brand new homes. But in Ohio, you ain't finding that. Not single family homes. And that's why prices keep going up here, just like they are in Long Beach, California. All right, that's Long Beach. I got a couple more in me, and then I got a jet. Let's see. But that was cool. You may sell. I mean, it looks like, you should be okay. Don't be greedy. Do your market research. Dial in that entry price. Be patient. If you don't get, tons of showings immediately, be patient. But it doesn't look like, buyers have vanished. It looks like they're continuing to purchase. Insolvitas. Did I say that right? Vitas. I think I said that right. Insolvitas. I don't know. I'm horrible pronouncing these. Sorry, guys. 07726. New Jersey. Going back out to New Jersey, huh? From the west to the east coast. Prices up 1%. We're going to do the backwards thing this time. We're going backwards. We're going to start at prices. Up 1%. And where is that? 07726. That is Englishtown, New Jersey. That's where that is. Englishtown, New Jersey. Price is up 1% year over year. All right, now let's do typical value. How's that? Maybe not an all-time high. 799,107. Yeah. That is an all-time high. So that's an all-time record high price in Englishtown, New Jersey. Now let's look at inventory. Year over year, you've got 65% more homes on the market. Goodness gracious, people are running, throwing their houses on the market there. But versus before COVID, down 41%. Down 41% versus pre-COVID inventory. Goodness gracious. Active inventory count, 87. Last year, you had 53. So you do have growth of homes for sale. That's an encouraging sign. During COVID, you had 47, 45 houses, but historically you've had over 100, right? Back in 2017, you had 163. In 2019, you had 146. So it does look like inventory is recovering. Price growth is slowing, so it's not exploding up 7% or anything like that, but you're still not back to that magic number of pre-COVID levels of homes for sale. And so you may continue just to grind sideways until you hit that. Maybe then prices will come down. But New Jersey's on the struggle bus when it comes to inventory. Let's just look at new listings. 40 new listings in February. And last year you had 40 listings in February. What about days on market? That must be, maybe that's higher for some reason. Wow. 51 days to sell a home. Last year was 83, so homes are selling faster than last year. But if you go back historically, you could see in 2024, it was 40 days. In 2023 was 40 days. In 2022 was 18 days. So homes are sitting longer. Maybe because they're so expensive that people are like, I can't afford that. So they sit until they do find a buyer. But there's just not a lot of them for sale compared to pre-COVID. Although I will say this inventory, when you look at the number of homes on the market, it definitely looks dismal. I'm not going to say it's not compared to pre-COVID, but at least you're not like at 45 still. You're right. You've grown that, and that's good. You want to see that. That'll return you to more of a normal market eventually. All right. Thinking of selling. I mean, obviously it depends on the price and a lot of other factors, but you probably do have some competition. And I would expect your home to probably sit a little longer, right? So just have the right expectation. Like, all right, I'm not going to get a flood of offers immediately. Maybe it may take me a little while to sell, than the last couple of years. You may have some competition, so price it correctly. Maybe price it, look at the market, what's out there right now, and price it a little under, right? Instead of pricing it too high and having it sit, because prices aren't growing a ton there, up only like 1% or so. But it all really depends on the street you're on, the neighborhood, the zip code, not the zip code, the actual neighborhood, the subdivision you're in. All that matters more than like this data. I should have said, if oil prices don't keep spiking past May and things in Iran start to wind down, that should keep the economic data from causing too much concern in real estate. Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, but again, like, that uncertainty has kept the market locked up. At least that's my opinion. I'm not saying I'm all knowing. You guys know more than me. But like, when I look at it, I go, well, the market locked up keeps prices high. People just don't want to list their home, I don't think, when there's economic uncertainty, because they don't want to buy that next home, right? So, but you could be right on oil prices. I mean, they've gone up a lot. Everybody's talking about gas prices, right? Oh, you're welcome. You are welcome, Ash. What's up, Sarah? Good to have you. We'll get more of this. Wendy, H666 89503. 89503. Let's do it. 89503. Where's that? 89503. Nevada. Going out to Nevada. Washoe County. Right? It's in Reno. Okay. The biggest little city, right? Let's do inventory. I'll go back to my normal routine here. Inventory, 43 houses in 89503. 89503. Yep. 43 homes on the market right now in Reno, in that zip code. You had last year 47 houses, so you have fewer homes on the market. Going the other way, right? You want to see more homes. During COVID, though, you only had 12. And you were thinking of selling, right? Yeah, looking to sell. So fewer homes listed right now would mean what? Less competition for you. It's not a ton less, but it's not growing. It's not exploding. Pre-COVID, you had 64 houses. Before that, though, you only had 23 houses in 2018. And in 2017, you only had 38 homes. So, you're past those levels of inventory before COVID. 2019 looks like kind of an anomaly. You had 64 houses. I don't see anything alarming in the inventory. It's kind of getting back to normal levels. Let's look at days on market. Days on market, 54. Last year, 71. Homes are selling a lot faster than last year, and a lot faster than the last 3 years. Buyers must be buying, I guess. Which means, if you're selling, you should have some traffic comparatively, right? It still may take longer than COVID, which it probably will to sell, but maybe more near historical timelines to get a property in contract. Price is down 1.8%. So just price your home correctly, right? Don't get greedy. Typical single family value, you are at $467,328. Remember, this doesn't mean your home's going to be priced this way. I'm sure you know that. This just gives you the typical value in the area. $477 was your record high back in 2022, and now $467. So you're off $10,000. Just price it strategically. Maybe price it a tad under what you where the market is or where the competition is right now, make sure it's clean. This goes without saying, but maybe I should have said it. Make sure it's clean. That doesn't cost anything, right, to clean it. Make sure it's decluttered. Less clutter, the better. Make sure it's well lit. All that stuff is cheap. Make sure the outside is taken care of, right? You can just make sure everything, you don't have to do anything spectacular, but get anything out of the yard that's junk, anything that's dead plants, anything like that, get rid of that. Make sure it's well taken care of from a yard maintenance standpoint. Those things matter. They matter a lot. If there's something major in the house that needs updated, you could consider updating it, but maybe not. And if it's cosmetic updates, unless it's super simple, may not be a reason to update it because the buyer may want to do something completely different. So I wouldn't worry necessarily about updating the house. Every situation is different, but generally speaking, you may not have to. Just make sure it's clean, well lit, decluttered, smells good. Make sure it smells good. Those things matter a lot. If there's a major system in the house, though, like a roof that's leaking, a heating system that doesn't work, a water tank that's going bad, expect that the buyer is not going to like that. You should probably replace those things. All right. That was Reno, Nevada. Interesting stuff. What's up, Sarah? 31411. What's the 411, Sarah? 31411. Yeah. 141. Chatham County, Georgia. 31411. 3. All right. Oh, down by the coast. All right. Inventory. How many homes do you have on the market, Sarah? Let's look at that. 71 houses now. Look back in 2022, you had nine homes. That's it. Huh. Now 71, but you're not nowhere close to the pre-pandemic levels of inventory. Not even close to back in 2020, you had 129 houses. And in 2019, you had 167 homes. Jeez. So you're building coming out of the basement on inventory, but you're not where you probably need to be, or, where a normal market is, rather. Let's look at median days on market. What's that? Wow, 117. That's up a lot from 48 days last year. So homes are sitting a lot longer this month versus this time last year. Sitting a lot longer. It means buyers are taking their time. It could be that a lot of the listings are really expensive or they need a lot of work, so they're going to rot. Could be seeing that. Maybe there's a major employer in the area that, laid off a bunch of people. That could be something too. I'm not saying that's the case, but demand has definitely fallen. Yeah, so your prices are up 0.4%, not even 1%, basically flat. And if you think about inflation, you're actually down, right? No prices are not keeping up with inflation. Let's look at typical value. 898. No, 900. Sorry. No, I'm right. $898,000. That's expensive there. Wow. And look at the run up you've had in prices. My goodness. In 2020, this is crazy. In 2020, the typical value, 489 grand in 2020, February. That changed. And it went up with COVID, and now $898,000. Man. I mean, you went from 498 to 528 in 1 year. What's that? 10, 38 grand, 40 grand. And then the next year, from 2021 to 2022, the prices there went up, the values went up $150,000. Man, I got to look at these percentages. That's like, that price growth is staggering. Wow. Since 2020, home prices in Chatham County, Georgia. Since 2020, home prices there have gone up 83%. 83%. Since 2022, they're up 17%. What does that tell you? You got all that growth. You got all that 80%, or most of it anyway, right? From 2020 to 2022. In 2 years. In 2 years, you got, what's that? Nearly like a 55, is my math right? 55, 60% growth in home prices in just 2 years. Man, I mean, I look at a lot of zip codes throughout the US, and that price growth is severe. So, like, prices not coming down, or I'm sorry, prices coming, they come down like 1%, 2%. So what? They're up 80 some percent since 2020. Now, if you bought it, if you bought in the last year, obviously different. But if you bought before 2020, man, you're up a ton. Goodness. I don't see many of those like that. I mean, 50% is normal. Well, you see through the US, right? But not 80. I hit the bars in Seal Beach as well. Yeah. Yep. Pretty cool area. Did I not do the right one? Yeah, I did. 31411. I did that one. Right. I did it. I did your zip code there. Oh, wow. You spoke at his conference? Cool. I haven't done a live with Zuber yet. But I've done a few videos with him. Yeah. I'll do another one upcoming. I'm probably going to do one once a month with him. He's really cool about it. I'm going to go after, I've done obviously Uneducated Economist a few times. He's great to talk to. Those videos with him and his videos, period, like make you think more than most things that I see on YouTube. He has some of the best content out there, I think. The Uneducated Economist. I like Zuber too. And then I'm probably going to get the Lumberjack Landlord, I think, and Dion. I want to get them both on there. I want to get them both on my channel. I got a few more in me, I guess. 33321. What time is it? Oh, 4 o'clock. 3332. Tomorrow, I'll do an Ohio only. Be on the lookout for that. 2332. But you spoke at his conference, huh, Sarah? That's pretty cool. Do you have your own channel? Or what did you speak about? I'd like to know. Let me know. All right, back to 33321. Let's see. Inventory. Inventory count. What do we got? 479 listings. This is in Broward County, and it's a suburb of Fort Lauderdale. That's where we are right now. Right in the heart of the crash, they say. 33321. Let's look at this. Inventory, 479 listings right now. During COVID, you only had 109. That's a big difference. No doubt, a big difference. And you have you have 2 more homes for sale than last year. So not an explosion, about the same, right? And so look at this. Active inventory, you are up 25% versus pre-COVID. That matters, right? We know that. What about prices? Down 8%. 8%. Wow, year over year. That's a decline. That's a big decline. A big decline. Total was a typical single family value, $384,382. You peaked at $411,000 is your all-time peak. back in 2024 and you've gone down, obviously you're down year over year right now, 384. So you're off 30 grand or so, but what did you, let's see how much you're down 6%, down 6% versus 2022. And since 2020, up 40%. Same story as the last one we looked at in Georgia, where a lot of that, most of the home price growth came in the 2 years from 2020 to 2022. We're seeing that over and over again in the market. Almost like 2022, the peak happened, right? Because interest rates went bonkers crazy, went way up. People decided they were like getting nervous about the market, so they threw their house on the market, and that caused prices to come down rapidly. So prices are still up versus 2020, but down since 2022 in Fort Lauderdale, 33321. Yeah, I would say that market's falling. I would say, I mean, inventory is definitely growing there. Prices may continue to come down. There's no doubt. No doubt. What's up, Hank? What's the latest on 32606? 32606. Another Florida zip code, right? 32606. Let's find out. Gainesville. Gainesville, Florida. I know somebody in Gainesville. Active inventory count, 68 houses. 68. During COVID, you only had 14. Like nothing. And you do have more homes versus pre-pandemic. That's always a good thing. What about days on market? 90 days on market. Last year was 56. Homes were selling a lot slower. They're rotting on the market compared to last year. And definitely compared to during COVID, they were selling in 30 days or going into contract in 30 days. Now 90 days, a lot longer. Expect your home to sit if you're going to list it there. Yeah, look at prices down 3% year over year. And let's look at typical single family value through $350,000. Not an all-time high, obviously. You were at what's this? You had the all-time high in 2024. It was like 363. Now you're at 349. So you're, $12,000. It's not the end of the world, but they're not going up anymore. Yeah. So I would say if this inventory number continues to grow, right? You got 68 homes last year, 59. If you continue to see that inventory number elevated, you continue to see more people putting their house on the market, days on market going up, you should probably see more price decline. Inventory, folks, is like, I mean, you don't have to, you can watch other factors, but if you just watch inventory, it'll tell you what's going on in a market. You got to look historically at it, right? You can't look at 1 month, but that drives people nuts. They're like, a lot of people want it to be other factors. Like inventory doesn't matter. People will tell me that. I'm like, yeah, sure. Every supply matters when you're buying a bicycle or a house or cars. See COVID for proof. Remember bicycles were like thousands of dollars and instead of 200 because you couldn't buy them, couldn't find them. So they're like, we'll charge anything for this. Scarcity. Nobody is really analyzing how many of Rage delisted properties were delisted because they didn't get the price that had to sell for because they are tapped out and need to bring money to close. Well, no, you can't analyze that. There's no fact. There's no let me move this. That doesn't really matter. There's no metric for that, right? I mean, how would you track that? I mean, that's so obscure, right? I get your point. But regardless of all that, like how I look at this is, why can't I? And I wish I could make this smaller. Hmm. I'm not sure how to make my comments smaller. But when you think about the Rage D listings and what happens with those, I get the want to track them, but they all have to fall in the funnel, right? I view the housing market like a funnel. There's just a big funnel, and you dump balls or houses in the top of it. Well, that funnel's filled with houses that are listed for some reason, one way or another. If you don't see more balls being dumped in the funnel, regardless of what the reasons are, it means at the end of the day, there aren't more people that have to sell their home. If all of a sudden the balls are dumped in and you all see all these balls falling in, the funnel gets filled with homes, then it's like, oh, there must be a reason why, right? Like there has to be some distress involved for people to have to pull the fire alarm and sell. But if you're not seeing more listings, whatever's going on isn't bad enough to cause people to have to sell their property. That's how I look at it. But I mean, you can get, I think you can get, no, I'm not saying brainwashed, but you can get kind of lulled into a false sense of like doom hope, I guess, where people, because there are folks out there that have channels that all they talk about is like how people can't sell their homes, and they usually show TikTok videos. And you're like, well, that doesn't count. That's not reality. Just look at the data. Yeah, your prices were ridiculous. They are high. I was like, wow, Georgia, man. Wow, look out. Look out. Must be a super nice area. I know you say it's not sustainable, and I get that. But if you owned a house that went from 498,000, wasn't that the number, 450 or something, all the way up to $800,000 in 6 years? Are you going to sell? Maybe. But if you do, you're going to sell for that price. And so it may not be sustainable for somebody who hasn't bought or somebody's not used to the market. But if that's what the market commands, that's what the market commands. Hey, Tech Girl, how you doing today? Good to see you. I should come to a conference. I'm going to the Vegas one next year, I think. I'm going to the One Rental at a Time conference. I think I'm going to try to take my kid because they're going to have like a teenage session, like a teen session. So I'm going to try to take him. Yes. Oh, you're an investor. Cool. I started when I was 22. I have a couple of videos on Zuber's channel. Oh, cool. I'll check those out. Thanks, Sarah. Fellow investor. I love it. You're probably on school too, right? School program. Yep, I see inventory going up in the two markets I asked. That's why I'm curious. The building going on in these two areas is ridiculous. Oh, lots of building, huh? 31324. All right, I'll check this one out. 31324. And I got one more after that, and I'm out. I'm wiped. Inventory. 202 homes on the market. 72 houses during COVID. Last year, you had 230 homes. So you have fewer homes in 31324, which is that Georgia zip code. Fewer homes than last year for sale. That's not good. And you've got 42% fewer homes than 2019. That could be why the house prices keep going up, right? Just not enough for sale. Oh, look at this, though. They're down. 1.4% down. Okay, so this zip code, at least, you're seeing falling prices. Are you buying investment properties here? How are you making that work? I'd love to know. I'll watch your videos on Zuber's channel. I'll figure it out. But, like, I mean, during COVID, this market had like 20% price gains year over year, 21% gains. That's crazy. That's not sustainable, and it wasn't. And now you're seeing that reverse. Typical value. Well, this market's a lot less expensive. Did I do the right one? 31324. She's going to double check. Yeah, this was a lot less expensive than the other market. $421,000. Peak was $427,000. You're down a couple $1,000. I don't think it's the end of the world, but the prices aren't skyrocketing. Of course, they weren't skyrocketing in that other zip code you gave me either. They're just higher. There's overall, they're more expensive. Median days on market. What's that? It's 58 days. Last year was 76. So homes are actually selling faster now. That's weird. Homes are selling faster. You have slightly fewer homes for sale. Prices are down slightly. What about pending listings? 111. Last year was 114. So about the same number of homes going actually on the market. Or I'm sorry, same number of homes going into contract approximately. It could be, Sarah, that like in a market here, it could be those delistings. Like the delistings come off the market. That's why you have fewer houses for sale. But the ones that are on the market are getting purchased. They're just getting purchased for less. Maybe there are some sellers there that are like, I got to sell a house. So they're discounting a little bit. And in a normal market, right, it's like a 98%, 99% price to listing price to actual sale price. This market is perplexing. I don't know. We'll come back when the info gets updated again, and we'll check it, find out what's happening, see how it's changed. All right. Well, I'm wiped, guys. But thank you. Been at this 2 hours and 11 minutes. Funny story before I go. I had somebody ask me or make a comment on my channel. I just kind of chuckled and they said, nobody watches 2-hour videos. They won't watch a video unless it's over 30 minutes. Don't you know that? Like they said, hey, some YouTube advice. Nobody watches a 2-hour video. I'm like, you're wrong. People watch 2-hour videos all the time. But number two, when I do this live stream and help people out, I can't crunch that into 30 minutes. I would only do like 2 zip codes, 3 zip codes. So I like to stay on to help you out. Here, you can check this out. This is my buyer guide. Should you buy in 2026 or not? Go to jasonferrier.com/free. You can download this free guide. Basically gives you 5 questions as to, hey, is it the right time to buy? It's not a definitive guide for your personal situation, but it gives you, a compass if you're headed in the right direction or not. And because a lot of buying a home is not numbers. A lot of buying a home is a personal need. Why do you need to buy the house? Or why do you want to buy the house? If it's just a want and it's not a need, that changes things usually. But whatever you do, don't be pressured to buy a house. Don't buy into pressure from other people to purchase a home. In my opinion, that's the wrong reason to buy. So take a look at this guide. I encourage you to do that. Thanks for joining me today. We covered a lot of metros, a lot of zip codes. Like, subscribe to The Housing Nerd, and I'm out. OUT out. We'll see y'all later.